how much respect will you get as a private investigator? Hi, Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, Premium Private Investigator Training, from someone who's been there and done that. How much respect will you get as a private investigator? Not a lot. There are going to be people who are fascinated by what you do. There are going to be people who like what you do and are intrigued by what you do, but you're not necessarily going to get a lot of respect. Police officers, honestly, most of them are going to look at you like a wannabe cop, like you couldn't make it as a police officer. Some officers will be intrigued by what you do and occasionally even ask you if you're hiring. But and then the general population, I think people are intrigued by what we do and they like what we do. But really speaking from a work perspective, if you go to serve process, if you go to do an interview, how much respect do you think they're going to give you? Sometimes and a lot of times not necessarily a lot. And it always surprises me when they do. I worked repossessions and I've done more than a handful of those. What I would do is I was given the hardest of the hard, the toughest cases. So I would go and find the vehicle and then call the tow truck to come in and get the vehicle. And then one time I did this, and the guy had a history of taking off fast, so I disabled the car. Don't ask. He did manage to limp it down the road for a little ways, and got to the corner as the tow truck arrived. The tow truck, I badge him. I hold my badge out the window. The tow truck driver sees me. I point him over to the car. The tow truck driver goes to hook it up, and the guy begins to get upset about this. And the tow truck driver points to me and says, "Well, there's the private investigator right over there." Somehow the tow truck driver felt that I gave me a certain amount of respect, felt I had a certain amount of authority. The driver, oddly enough, must have picked up on that from the tow truck driver, and he gave me proper, I won't say proper respect, but he was decent to me. And let me point out too a real fine point here between respect and authority. How much authority do you have as a private investigator? Well, a lot of times you're trying to do things, you can't force it to be done. So you're going to have to convince people to talk to you. You're going to have to convince people to give you information. There are times when you do have more authority than the general population believes or understands. In the case of the repossession, I'm authorized by the true owner of the vehicle to take possession of it. So I do have a considerable amount of legal authority in that position. But going back to this idea of respect, how much respect will you be given? I want to tell you a little story about a time, when I used to teach in the college classrooms that teach private investigation, skip tracing, accident investigation, all that's the surveillance, of course. And this was back before I had my individual courses. I actually fine-tuned those in the classroom in front of an accredited community college where people were getting degrees. This is where I fine-tuned the information that I've now put into the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series. So back to those days when I was teaching in the classroom, in addition to being a full-time investigator, the college called me on the phone. They had an incoming class, and they said, "Oh, we read in this national magazine that you wrote an article, and we would love it if you would come and talk to our incoming class." You see, they saw this article that I had written and was published, and they thought, my goodness, here we have this nationally recognized expert. He's right here in our town. Let's give him a call. And this is the admissions office calling, which of course was separate from the, I guess you'd say, the education side of it. They call up asking me to come in and speak to their incoming freshman class. And I said, well, I'd rather not. I don't really want to come in for a day, that type of thing. They said, well, we'd really like it. I said, well, try these other investigators. They're good guys. They're good speakers. They said, well, we had those guys. We'd really love it if you'd come in and talk to the class. So reluctantly, I agree. Yeah, I'll come in. I'll talk to them. And they said, oh, great. Do you know where we are? I said, yeah, you're right down there off the expressway. They said, oh, you've heard of our institution? I said, yeah, one of the professors out there. Oh. I mean, you could just hear the disappointment. You could hear the wind come out of the sails from the woman at the admissions department that called me. Just, oh, you're just one of our professors. You see, it just was, and here's what it was. When she saw me in the magazine and knew me as a nationally recognized expert, she was very excited to get this rare out of town. They say no prophet is welcome in his own town. When I was this expert that she read about or read my article, she was very excited to have me. But when she found out I was just one of the professors there, oh, we have professors, she lost her enthusiasm. Of course, she still wanted me to come in and talk. But this is a key element for you to know about as how much respect you're going to get as a private investigator. There will be people who, when they see you at the height of your professionalism, and I'm talking about doing your job well, doing your job ethically, those types of things, when they see that, they're going to look at you and go, wow, this person, they know what they're doing. And they're going to have respect for you. Other people, your family, you're still just going to be dad. You're going to still be my brother's a private investigator, or whatever it might be. The people around you who know you probably not going to hold you in as high esteem as the people who have seen you work at your peak level. So how much respect will you get? It varies on who you're talking to and what they've seen from you. Going back just real quickly to this idea of authority versus respect, if you've read my book, How to Make a Citizen's Arrest, you know that this plays a big difference. You may have the authority to make an arrest as a private citizen in your area, and I have an index in the book that covers every state and what their laws are. You can want to look that up. But you may have the authority to make a citizen's arrest, but you almost certainly will not be given a lot of respect in that situation. They're going to just look at you as some guy trying to get in the way of what they're doing. So remember, there is a difference between authority and respect. There's a difference between authority and power. You may have the authority to arrest this person, but do you have literally the power? Sometimes the muscle power to make this arrest. So, covered a lot of things here. How much respect can you expect to get? It will depend on how they know you and how they've seen you work. And hopefully, if they've seen you work at your peak performance, they really are going to have a great deal of respect for you. By the way, that's very good for business as well, because they will refer you to other people. This is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.